How to Write a Dynamic Book Proposal by Answering 5 Simple Questions. This is the first of 8 secrets that I'm disclosing on how to author a best-selling book in actually less than 40 hours. I'm going to share with you the long learning curve it took me to be able to write a bestseller in less than 40 hours of my time. Get ready. If you have a book in you, get ready to take notes. So I'm Doug Andrew, and I've been primarily viewed for the last 5 decades as a financial strategist, a retirement planning specialist, but I've been very blessed in the 50 years that I've been helping people optimize assets and minimize taxes to have authored 12 books thus far. I'm working on my 13th book as I'm recording this episode. Hopefully it will be released next year. So the purpose of this series is to share with you some of the secrets that I've learned so that if you have a book in you, how you can implement and get that book published in fast, short order in a fast power curve instead of the long learning curve it took me. My very first book took 10 years to write. And it became a bestseller. I self-published it, and then it got the attention of Time Warner, and they picked it up and wanted the rights to that, and they gave me a $100,000 advance to write my second book, and that took 1 year to write. My next book, they gave me $1 million advance to write that one, and that's the one that became a New York Times and Wall Street Journal #1 bestseller the second week it was released. That took me basically 4 months to write. And ever since then, I have been able to author a book by only using about 36 to 40 hours of my time. So I'm going to share with you what I learned through the process. And now that I am working on my 13th book, hopefully this will help you. Now, the world loves usefulness, and they will actually pay for your wisdom. And I'm going to say this probably in every single episode. You do not have to be a writer to be an author. An author comes from the root word authority. If you're an authority on a subject, you've been through all kinds of different experiences. There's a lot of people in the world that would love to learn from your experiences, how you overcame something. And so you don't have to be a writer to be an author. And I'm going to share that with you through all of these 8 secrets. But one of the very first steps, secret number 1, is writing down whether you're going to submit this to maybe a publisher or whether you're going to self-publish like I did when I first released that first book that I showed you at the beginning in the thumbnail video. You need to answer 5 questions. And I learned this from a wonderful literary agent, Jillian Manis. She's the literary agent for Daniel Steele. And when I met her, it took a couple of times sending her some of my manuscripts before she agreed to become my literary agent. And she's the one that taught me how to do this when we approached Time Warner, Simon Schuster, Random House, McGraw-Hill, and some of the big publishers in New York. Now, on one 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, she had me answer 5 questions. The very first one that you have to get clear in your mind is at least your working title. Now, if it is published, they're going to change the title, which Time Warner, when they became my publisher for 4 of my books, they changed the title on a couple of them. So this is how to write the ideal book proposal in your mind, or if you're going to submit it to a publisher. And this will help you get clear even if you're going to self-publish. So the first thing you need to do is have a working title. It's amazing how many times I didn't know what I was going to title a book, and so I started with a working title. And it ended up being the actual final title of the book. And that's what happened with one of my bestsellers called The Laser Fund. The Laser Fund was just a working title, but it became so easy, it rolled off my tongue so much that we just kept it as the name of the book, and we actually branducated a lot of the financial services industry by having that name of what I was explaining in that book. So get super clear on the title and the subtitle of the book. Now, I will share with you in these secrets that you usually want to choose a title to your book that is more right brain, okay? And a subtitle that is left brain. You want to grab somebody's interest so that they don't understand what you are meaning, but it arouses curiosity. So it's a right brain title and a left brain subtitle. And I'm going to give you examples of that in some of the other secrets because I do the same thing. I use the same formula in chapters, okay? So title and subtitle of the book, number one, okay? Number two, very clearly in one paragraph, maybe 20% of the sheet of paper, why do people need this book? You've got to get very succinct why people need this book. And if you can't say that or verbally and then write that down, you better rethink your thinking. So why do people need this book that you're going to be writing? The next question is who? Who should read this book? What is your audience? Who's going to benefit from the book? Who should be reading this book? And why do they need it? You've got those two questions covered. The next question is, why are you an authority? An author is an authority on a subject. Why are you an authority? Why should they read your book? Why should they pay attention to what you have to say? So you've got to answer in one paragraph, why are you an authority on this subject? What have you been through? What's your experiences? What's your education? What did you overcome? I've had many people that I've coached that when they were suffering with their children that had addictions. I had a friend whose daughter was horribly addicted to heroin. And after ending up in a facility for 3 or 4 days in fetal position in a jail cell, when she finally overcame that addiction, the world loves usefulness. There was a lot of people that wanted to know how she overcame that addiction. She was not a writer, but she was able to author a book because she was sort of an authority. She had already been through it, just like people who quit a habit like smoking or anything like that. People who are struggling want to know how you overcame it. And they love to learn from people who've already been through the experience that they have been through. Does that make sense? Now, the final question is, how is this book that you're writing distinguished from other books on the same topic or subject? So again, if there are a bazillion books out there about losing weight, you've got to come up with an angle. What makes your book different about losing weight or exercising or whatever you're doing as a financial strategist? I had to make my books be totally different with the title and subtitle. And I had to get very clear in the front of the book when people are flipping through, because usually at a bookstore or online, they're making a decision to buy a book usually within 20 seconds. If something grabs their attention, they may look at the table of contents and they're going to be looking at the titles, and they need to understand, wow, this book is different than other financial books because of what they're reading. If you don't do that, good luck. You're not going to have very many takers on wanting to read your book or purchase your book if you're wanting to make money by selling books. By the way, you can use books to earn income off the sale of books. And if you were writing books like the Harry Potter series, my books, I have sold over 1 million copies of my books. But I have not made any money off of the sale of the books, okay? And many of them, it was a lost leader. I gave them away. I use my books as a bird dogging tool, that when people read the book, then the people who want to implement the ideas in the book contact me or my network of financial advisors who can help them implement the ideas that you read about in the book. So my book becomes a bird dogging tool. I don't make money off of the million books I've sold directly. Indirectly, I have. I've been able to earn over 100 million, but not from royalties on books. Does that make some sense? So when you go through and determine this, I remember the very first time that I went through this exercise at the urging of my literary agent, Jillian Manis. I was presenting this book proposal to Time Warner and Random House and Simon Schuster and McGraw-Hill. We didn't even get past Time Warner, and they accepted and they wanted to publish my book. But this was originally going to be called Baby Boomer Blunders, okay? And this was how to prevent the blunders or cure them, how to avoid and overcome them. And so this was on one sheet of paper, the title and subtitle, Why Do People Need This Book? I actually stated the question, and then I wrote a paragraph about why people needed this book, especially baby boomers. I've already identified the audience, but the next question is, who should read this book? And at the time that I presented this in 2007, there were about 78 million baby boomers in America that were in danger of outliving their money. So those are the people I was addressing in the book. Why is Doug Andrew an authority on this subject? And I talked about my credentials as a lecturer and as a financial strategist, retirement planning specialist for, at that point in time, about 30 years. And so I answered that in one paragraph. And finally, how is this book distinguished from other books on the same topic? So you can see I did a brief paragraph answering those 4 questions. And I made sure, because Jillian said, make sure it is on one sheet of paper. You want to hand one sheet of paper. Now, if they're interested, then you can have the working table of contents. You can even have an outline. You can even have a brief outline of every chapter, which I was prepared to submit, which they asked for. But they're not even going to be interested in that until they know the answers to those questions. What's your working title and subtitle? Why should people read this book? Who should read it? Why are you an authority? And what makes this book different than other books on the same topic? Does that make sense? Now, if you want to see an example of some of my books, let me show you how you can claim a free copy, because I'd love to gift you one. I've authored 12, and if you want to read a book that talks about how to abolish entitlement mindset, one of my bestsellers is called Entitlement Abolition, and it's about a 200-page book, and you can claim your free copy by going to entitlementabolition.book.com. You contribute a nominal amount towards the shipping and handling. I'll cover the rest of that and fire out a free complimentary copy of this book to you. There's also options there if you like to listen and learn and watch and learn. Then you save on costs of inventory by this digital world we live in. If you want to read one of my financial books, go into Laserfund, laserfund.com. Again, you contribute a nominal amount towards the shipping and handling. I cover the rest of that, and I'll send out this book. This is actually 2 books in one. This is a right brain, left brain approach, which I explain in Another Secret. This side is about 200 pages, 14 chapters with all the charts and graphs for the left brain thinker. For the right brain learner that learns by stories and examples, you flip this one over and read this one, this direction, about 100 pages, 12 chapters. So this is actually 2 books in one, and this has been extremely successful. You can claim a free copy of that. If you're a business owner, if you're an entrepreneur, and you want to take your business to 10 times in 60 months or less, get a copy of my digital book called The 10 Keys Transformation. Simply go to free10keysbook.com, same thing. You contribute an amount for the processing, and I'll fire out a free copy of that to you in digital format. And there's also audio of that available. This is not about me. This is about you. I'm 70 years old, and I want to share with as many people as possible that have wisdom in them. I don't want you to go to your grave with your best music still in you. And so that's the purpose of this series, and I'm revealing 8 secrets on how to author a best-selling book in less than 40 hours. My first one took 10 years. But after 3 books, ever since then, I've authored my books using less than 40 hours of my time. So enjoy and watch the other secrets.